Okay, thank you. We have maybe time for 2 questions, so one here and then one there.
Hi, Shadia Mansour from Tunisia, College of William and Mary. I think my question is directed to Madame Iman. You talked about the importance of how the economic reforms are strongly tied to the political reforms. And if we could take Tunisia and Egypt, we find that the Tunisians have understood that there will not be any economic reforms until we change the political reforms, and they did occupy Qasba 1, Qasba 2, Qasba 3 squares, and they were able to put down the first interim government and the second one, a lot of pressure, and they changed major political reforms. But this was, the price of this was the economy. It went really down. Do you think that, but in Egypt, this did not happen. We have Mubarak out, but the government is the same, corruption the same, no political reform of whatsoever that has have happened. Do you think that now the solution for Egypt is to go back in the streets like the Tunisian did and make major changes in the government and the military power, and then start the economic one? Thank you.
Thank you. One last one.
Hi, is that loud enough? My name is Claire Jabbour. I'm a master's student from American University, and I'm working on human rights in the Middle East, so I apologize if my economic background is limited and I may be getting this wrong. But in my experience being in the Middle East, mostly in Egypt and in Lebanon, it has been that many of the powerful, especially in business and politics, have gained their power by paying off the right people or knowing the right people. This mostly to Dr. Iman. I was wondering how you suggest that these new regimes combat such types of corruption in order for new businesses to be able to rise. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Iman.
Okay. I'll start by the second question. It's easier. I think what happened in Egypt was this, what we call it the marriage of power, political power to the economic power, and the circle of those who controlled Egypt was getting smaller and smaller, and really they became decadent. I mean, I think one of the issues here is I knew some of them, and I never expected, except after the revolution, how corrupt they were, because you couldn't just believe it. I mean, you know, and I think this will not come back. And I think the real issue here is accountability and freedom again. So I'll go back to the political system. If there is accountability, if, for example, one of the things that I'm not happy about is now that we're going to have parliamentary elections, I had expected that in our parliament we have 2 types of immunity. There is the political immunity for any MP and the criminal immunity. And unfortunately, the criminal immunity, which means that if somebody has been accused of embezzlement or corruption or whatever, you are unable to pursue this if he's an MP unless 2/3 of the parliament will agree that this person can go to even to be interrogated. So the idea here is, I had expected that at least this criminal immunity would be removed, and we can have the political immunity so that nobody will use their freedom of expression against them in the parliament. So saying that, I think what we're having now is accountability. People are extremely vocal now. People have gone to the streets many times. I mean, I think since the revolution, since the toppling down of Mubarak and his people on the 11th of February, there may be 2 Fridays that nobody was there, maximum 3 Fridays. Our Friday is your Sunday. So the idea here was that we're there in the street all the time. Actually, I think there are also demonstrations against everything in the streets, and I think it's paralyzing our economic situation. There are people who are making, I mean, for example, I was stranded for 14 hours in the airport, and Egypt lost $30 million that day because the air controllers, who are already making $5,000 a month, which is huge in Egypt, wanted to make $6,000 a month. And they stopped, I mean, you know, and And so what I'm saying is, I think people are going down the streets and there is accountability. So I don't think corruption will come back. I also disagree with a lot of the people who are saying, or I beg to differ, that there has no changes that happened in Egypt. No, there has been a lot of changes in Egypt. But Egypt is 85 million people. Egypt has been, we have so many, I mean, we have economic problems, social problems, legal problems, education problems. With all due respect to Tunisia, which I think has led all this movement in the Arab region, there are between 4 to 5 million people, which we joke in Egypt, but we say it's one district. And the idea here is there is so many things happening. In addition, although we don't have a lot of ethnic differences or, I mean, or differences in the group, in the people, in the demography, we have a lot of differences geographically within the country, politically, and orientation. I mean, even when we talk about the Islamists, there are 4 groups of Islamists already there. And we have a joke that now we have 85 million politicians. So it's not a joke. And for the first time in our history, and I will repeat this, in 7,000 years, for the first time, we have a voice. And we are experimenting with it. We're experimenting with our voice. And although I think I will be one of the groups that will suffer in the next 10 years because of what will happen, and I really think there will be a rise of fundamentalism, I still believe that it's okay in the bigger picture. This is the price we pay. We are going, I mean, the French Revolution, it took them 17 years, and there was the guillotine. At least we haven't started killing each other yet. But what I'm saying is it will take time, and I think there has been a major change in our in our way of thinking, in our kids. My kid who went with me to Tahrir Square has never thought in his life, I didn't think in my life, that we can change the leaders. It didn't even cross our minds. So I think there was a lot of changes. People are still going, the young lady from Tunisia, people are still going down into the street. People are going tomorrow. Although personally I'm against the people going tomorrow, I still think, why not? I mean, you know, people will continue going down. And although I think the fundamentalists will take the majority, they will not last for a long time. In 5 to 8 years, somebody will come up after they discover the real, that they haven't done anything to Egypt, and then we will go back to what we really wanted, which is a real democracy.
Thank you. I can see we still have more questions. I'm sorry we don't have more time, but perhaps afterwards in the halls or something.
Yes, I'm afraid we have to draw this to an end. If you could just give us 1 second. I hope you enjoyed this conference today. We've really been honored by an amazing group of panelists who have come from Egypt. Several from Egypt, from Saudi Arabia, from the United Arab Emirates, from Lebanon, from Israel, from Ramallah. It's really an honor to hear these insights from the region. We'd like to do more programs like these, but we rely on support like yours. I just want to, well, everybody knows it was a free conference, and we'd like all of our conferences to be free so that they are open to students. That is our form of democracy here. So please contribute to MEI. We've got a donation desk in the hall. You can become a member or just give $10 or buy a journal. So thank you once again for joining, and please join me, it's been a long day, in thanking this amazing group of panelists.
Molly, thank you.
Thank you.
But it's not going to be tomorrow.